This is Dr. Joan Tallis, the United States Planet Earth. Do you read me? Is anyone out there? We're getting feedback. Let's try another channel. Hello? Hello? This is Dr. Joan Tallis.
What does that mean? I don't understand what
Kimberly,
that means.
In the grand history of the cosmos, more than 13,000 million years old, on Earth is replicated elsewhere.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we have a problem.
Well, they used to go through Manchester, yeah? Well, not through it. Manchester's here, yeah? And they'd go just, not through the centre, yeah? Not through the centre, but just through the side. Yeah, now when I ask them, do you remember coming to Leeds to see us? Yes. Did you go through Manchester? Went through the side of Manchester, right? Now, I show them the map, because Manchester used to go Manchester, Sheffield, Leeds. Manchester, from your perspective, is all the way over here now. Sheffield is here, below Manchester, I think, and Leeds is here. So Manchester's just moved. After I show them this, they turn around and they go to me, oh no, we must not have gone through it. But you just said you did. Yeah, I think what's happening, you know Regato Bonner, forgive me if I'm saying your name wrong, mate, but I've seen where you say people auto-correct. What I think it is, I think it's the Matrix is, I think it is like self-correction, auto-correcting codes. Do you get what I mean? I don't really know too much what I'm talking about here, but I'm trying to get the theory to you. It's like, I can't explain it. But I know what you, Regato Bonner, mate, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, you tell them, they remember it one way, and you tell them, and it actually changes their memory. And now, I asked again a while ago, a couple of days ago, yeah, and the memory is set as it has been changed. Do you get what I mean? So, it's like it never happened.
The Mandela effect is a phenomenon where a large number of people remember something that actually never happened, seemingly sharing false memories of past events. Referred to as confabulation in psychiatry, some have speculated that the memories are caused by parallel universes spilling into our own. Others explain the phenomenon as a failure of collective memory. According to believers, this is not a case of mistaken memory. Instead, it's hypothesized that some of us have moved between alternate realities, hence remembering things that have been written out of our current timeline, or that time travelers have inadvertently changed subtle things in our history, whether deliberately or accidentally, and therefore affected our present, remarkably similar to the Back to the Future movie franchise. The spelling of well-remembered brand names and the subtle altering of familiar logos has convinced believers history has been tampered with during our lifetimes. Luke, I am your father. By far, one of the most iconic movie lines of all time is the phrase, Luke, I am your father. Today, you can find it on merchandise of all kinds. T-shirts, hats, phone cases, and everything in between. With the recent repopularization of Star Wars, this phrase has been everywhere. However, if you decide to go back and re-watch Star Wars, you'll be in for a big surprise. Instead of saying, Luke, I am your father, as many of us remember, Darth Vader actually says, No, I am your father. Most people can clearly remember Darth Vader using his son's name. Online, Star Wars fans old enough to remember the movie debut agreed that most people quoted the line, "Luke, I am your father," in the months immediately following the movie's release. Even James Earl Jones, the actor who played Darth Vader, remembers that the original line contained the name of the character's son. If anyone should know what Darth Vader actually said, it would be James Earl Jones. 4 or more in the car. Can you remember exactly how many people were in the convertible with President Kennedy as he and his wife were riding in a motorcade in Dallas, Texas on Friday, November 22nd, 1963? Even if you weren't alive at the time, photographs from that fateful day have appeared in textbooks and on countless websites around the world, so there's a pretty decent chance you've at least seen the images. Most people would answer 4. The President, the First Lady, Texas Governor John Connally, and the driver. But in actual fact, there were 6 people, the other 2 being Mrs. Connally and an anonymous man. How could this be? The car was definitely only a 4-seater, right? But if you take a look anywhere now, it's a 6-seater. The presidential limo was a 1961 Lincoln Continental 4-door convertible, codenamed X100 by the Secret Service. Records indicate that Hess and Eisenhart of Cincinnati, Ohio, was responsible for customizing the car to function as a presidential parade limousine, literally cutting it in half, reinforcing it, extending it 3.5 feet in length, and making numerous other modifications. It debuted at the White House in June 1961 and remained in service until early 1977. The car is now exhibited to the public at the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan. But is it really the same car? And were there really 6 people in it that infamous day? Conspiracy theorists point to publications at Ivy League and other prestigious universities as proof only 4 people were in the car. Many also used the Texas governor's testimony as an indication he was one of the 4 in the car, not 6, although he never directly stated anything about the number of people in the presidential limo with him. Tapes of the Secret Service's reenactment of the events of that day show they used a 2-bench, 4-seat convertible Lincoln Continental as a model, since X100 was impounded for evidence, as they tried to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Maybe they were all experiencing the Mandela effect.
And I walked in the door of first stop, my course, my parents' house, and there was an atlas sitting on the table. This atlas right here. And I just take one glance at it, and I see North and South America. And I go over and I stand over it for good. What the hell is South America doing there? So this is actually a atlas from 1977 and came from my grandmother's house originally. And it just so happens that I used to look at this atlas when I was a young child, in around 7 years old or so, and I spent a lot of time. I love this. As I said, I know maps pretty good. I used to love looking at this, even at 7 years old. And I open this atlas, and what I find is not a part of the atlas, but it is in the atlas. What I find is this pamphlet. I'm kind of like, that's odd. That looks familiar. Yes, it is. It would be. The reason being, I'm the one who left this in the atlas at 7 years old, approximately. I did so because there's a map inside, and a map belongs in the atlas. And I loved it. I don't know why I loved it, but I really, really did. And man, am I happy I left it here. So this is a pamphlet from ExxonMobil, or Exxon Oil, referring to and talking about oil reserves. And we get a few pictures in here. So this pamphlet is from 19
It's approximately sometime after 1972, pre-1976, so we'll just go ahead and call it about 1975. It doesn't have an actual date on it, but a few references within. So this is approximately from 1975, and when I open this and I turn it, look at what I find. This, my friends, is absolutely wonderful in my books. And what this is a representation of oil reserves in the world. And as you can see, Saudi Arabia region is massive, and Africa is pretty big. And so this isn't a real map, no. But what this is a map, is a picture depicting oil reserves by size, but using a map-like picture, which is exactly why it wasn't changed. And if you look, there it is. That is a beautiful, beautiful thing right there in my books. Oh, I love that. It made me feel so good. So clearly we have South America, where it's supposed to be, pretty much directly underneath North America. There's South America, North America, and currently today, this is our North America and South America.
One of the ways that some of the ways that the Mandela effect has affected me personally is that I hear a frequency, I hear a tone, and these tones change. Sometimes they're high pitched and sometimes they're a lower tone, but I hear these tones, and I've heard them now for years. There are times when the tone is quiet. That tone has a lot to do with the Mandela effect. I think that's if you look at frequencies, sound vibrations, if you study and research what they're about, it's a creative force. Sound in itself is a creative force.